What's going on here? You sure you could talk in the meantime because we are live and we're just trying to sort out this technical difficulty that seems to have come up.
I'm like, here fixing my hair.
So I just get them to send back all the links again because we see, because persons are telling me they're not seeing it. So we have some new links generated that are going to send out. So good evening again. If you're now tuning in, this is the season finale of Korean Kalu, and like they don't want us to go. They don't want us to go, so
Your mic is really soft.
mine?
Yeah.
Well, at least you heard me there. So we're trying again to see if we. All right, I think it should be working now. Right, so people are coming back in. So if you're now joining us, Asia was supposed to be interviewing us. And we were talking about, we will have to, since we have a tight schedule, we'll have to connect the first piece of the interview with the second piece of the interview. But Asia, you could probably go through the last question that you had with Chantal, and we could continue from there.
So the question was with your expertise and with the information.
I'm not hearing Asia at all.
Asia, volume.
Her mic is mute.
Are you hearing me now?
Very softly.
A little better, but you're soft.
Okay.
Extremely soft.
I might just shout. Is that a little better?
I can't hear Asia at all.
Asia, you know how you are with these technical difficulties. I think it's you causing this, you know. Asia, I'll kick you out. What was the last question you asked, Chantal?
We spoke about council.
In the council of Accra.
All right, Chantal, you give the response and Asia log back in now.
Oh, I responded already.
People would not
have heard. Okay. So basically what I was saying is that you can't complete a puzzle without all the pieces. And the missing piece has always been the administrative piece. When council meets, a lot of the times they talk about the technical aspect of the sport, you know, because it's made up of a lot of coaches. But council also needs to understand that they play part of the administrative role. You know, when they meet with the executive, council has an administrative role there, and they really need to own that space in holding the executive to the responsibilities that they set out to do, right? So council is a reflection of your executive. If you don't like your executive, you know, there's an ownership that council has to take with regards to that. So all I was saying is that I want moving forward that council kind of owns their responsibility or owns up to the administrative responsibility that they have with regard to moving the sport forward.
Okay, I really hope you guys can hear me.
I'm still not hearing Asia.
This isn't a comedy session.
I know.
Yes, Asia, was it?
Are you hearing me?
All right,
yes.
It's a little better now. Go
very softly.
Right, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So
shout.
I will try to shout.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned previously, like, pure agenda. Like, what do you think it will take for us to have like a pure agenda in sport?
I mean, I think we need to have a vision in the sport, and the vision will direct where we want to go. I mean, but to me, a pure agenda is something that we put in place to achieve aquatic excellence, right? It has to be based on policy, right? It's about putting in frameworks in place so that you have a flow of athletes straight from your developmental stages straight to your straight to the elite level. Is about ensuring that there is a system of meritocracy inside of the association, and that persons are rewarded based on, performance, and that whatever goes on is strictly about swimming, right? It's strictly about the sport of aquatics and not personal agendas, personalities, whatever personal ambitions anybody may have. It's not about that. It's about the development of aquatics and the development of the sport. And once we stick to that core, I mean, you could have a pure agenda for the sport. I don't know if Chantal have anything to add.
For me, it's really like Jason said, people coming in with no personal agenda. They're really there for the development of sport. People being mature enough to put aside their differences and buy into the same vision. We have to share the same vision in order to bring it to reality. So for me, that's what it would take to really have a pure agenda and see the sport move forward.
So I think one word that you're really stressed on.
I'm not hearing you. Yell. I need you to yell.
I thought one word that you're really stressed on was vision. So do you think that with the qualities that you all listed, do you think that there are people now who can, who will be available to create this pure agenda?
I really can't hear you.
She asked if you think that there are the people to really deliver a pure agenda.
Well, since you're talking, Jason, you take that question now. Do you think there are people that can do it?
I mean, honestly, when I heard, I think last week too, Christian Homer had said he don't think we have enough people that are willing to take the sport forward, or not enough people want to put their heads together to, get the sport moving. And I do believe we have some people that can do it. I mean, it's honestly in sport where there's so much bacchanal and confusion, right? And not enough focusing on getting, as we say, that aquatic excellence, that, sometimes a lot of people don't want to get involved. And they want to be involved in something that is progressive. They want to be in something that they won't get a name tarnished at the end of it all, right? And they want, but we have to find these people, and we have to get these people, and these people are there, and some of these people are here because I have spoken to Chantal as well. I have spoken to a few other people, and I have decided that whenever elections come up, my thing is that I will be running for president of the association. And I've spoken to Chantal, and she don't know it yet, but she knows it already, and she'll be running for secretary of the association. Because at the end of the day, I have spoken to Chantal, was in the association before, and I know why she left. And it's because we have a toxic environment, and we need leadership that can at least acknowledge that we are being mediocre in our performances, and find a way to go forward and put aside all the pettiness that we have in the sport, and just get a progressive agenda going forward. And I mean, we have people that want to do it, and enough people have to stand up and do it. And I'm glad that Chantal has agreed to stand up with me, although she do have to be here, right? But she has a love for sport, and you'll see it on her IG all the time. She has a love for sport, and she doesn't just love it, she knows what to do. And I think she's the person that can be the secretary of the association and get the agenda going forward.
Thank you for your kind words.
Well, congratulations to you both, and I wish you all the best. I really hope elections, tomorrow too. I'll be very excited to see what you two bring, to sport, to swimming, to assets, and I know how much Chantal loves management and administration side of things. And I think that is something that actually lasts a lot in any kind of sport organization.
I feel sorry because Asia is talking her liver string out, and I can't hear a word.
She says she's happy that you're giving up your time and your service, and she knows you could do a good job.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Translator. Because I really can't hear her. It's only when Jason speaks, like I'm hearing.
Remember, she's from a different island too, so it might be a little translation differences.
Why did you go there?
Now, Asia, you have anything else to ask that I have to translate?
No, I don't have anything else. Just thank you for her time and service as you rightly said. And I look forward to seeing you guys in season 2 and hopefully you'll have successful with the election.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say,
Wait, one thing, and if you ever need a strength coach, just saying.
Oh, I heard that part and I read those lips. If we ever need a strength coach, oh yeah, we already know to call you. We already know that.
we have coming up, and I want to thank everybody too for tuning in to Korean Kalu for the last 22 episodes. It was really a pleasure. These last 22 episodes. I don't know when next we're gonna start it back up, but we do know coming up next is Dylan Carter and Darren Samla Singh, and we have a few other guests that will chime in as well. So I just want to thank you all again for tuning in, and stay tuned for Dylan. Thank you, Asia. Thank you, Chantal.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Asia.
Bye. Bye, Miss.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Dylan, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, man?
All is well?
Yeah, all is well. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Pleased to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Nice. I know a couple of times we discussed it, but we know with your ISL, with Olympics, everything, it would have been a bit too much for you.
Yeah. It's been a busy year.
Yeah, well, thankful for that, man. We're thankful for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what we want to discuss. I want to start the interview. I mean, welcome everyone. I mean, we're starting off with just myself and Dylan, right, in Coaches Connection, where we bring in other coaches, past swimmers, and have a nice little healthy discussion, right? I mean, I can imagine Dylan has gone through his fair share of woes with the administrative side of Trinidad and just all around, right? So, I mean, first we want to touch on your Olympics. I mean, you're fresh off Olympics, right? How was the preparation and how do you find your Olympics went?
Yeah, well, I think that the general consensus is that as a team, we had kind of an underwhelming Olympics. I can't remember the last time we didn't medal as a nation. Not in my lifetime, I don't think. So it was a challenging one, for sure. I wasn't super satisfied with my performances. I know a lot of my teammates were less than satisfied, but we gave it our all. I think that some things in preparation, in hindsight, obviously things could have been changed, and the writing was a little bit on the wall for me. But I've identified those areas that were sort of needing some attention, and I'm feeling a lot better now about my preparation and training. And so, yeah, I mean, this Olympics, as sad as it had to be, it was a little bit of a learning experience for me. But, we get stronger for it and we learn from it and, on to the next.
I like the positive mentality, man, because there's a lesson in there that you had to learn, huh? And
Of
the
course.
only way to learn that was through what you mentioned as an underwhelming Olympics, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice to see you all smiles about it. That's a real positive. Forgive me, I forgot to introduce you. I don't think you need an introduction, but I mean, you never know. So I just want to follow a bit of your accolades, right? Two-time Olympian, World Short Course Champs medalist, TNT's first World Junior Champs medalist, TNT's first Commonwealth medalist, Youth Olympic medalist, multiple national record holder, 2020 TikTok and First Citizen Sportsman of the Year. And you're still here discussing, all right, you've learned things this year.
Always
Right?
learning. We always learning. The day you stop learning is the day you die, I guess.
Agreed. Right? I also saw, I mean, I like it, and I've also seen the ISL, and I saw your involvement in it, right? how do you, what, I mean, that's not new, but relatively new to most of the swimming world, especially like Trinidad. I mean, I think you're the only person Trinidad ever represented in ISL, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Right. How has it been? How do you explain it? How would you explain it to others?
It's a game changer. You know, it's a disruption of the industry that is swimming, and for the general population and for most swimmers and some coaches, swimming is a once every 4 year sport at the Olympics.
Yeah.
So the amount of people I've seen since I've been home that have been like, are you going to the next Olympics? We're sorry you had a poor one. You know, that must be so terrible. But what ISL is it's changing the whole game. It's giving swimmers a season, you know, giving swimmers something to do year round rather than being a 1 meter year, train all year and taper once and hope everything kind of works out. They're changing up the whole way that swimming is approached and thought about. There's financial backing as well, which is important in our sport because we know how hard swimmers train and how little they're paid. So I think in those two respects, it's revolutionary, the ISL, and it's an incredible honor for me to be part of it. I've enjoyed all of my experiences in the 3 seasons I've been in thus far. I think it's really fun. It's a different take on swimming. It makes it more of a team sport. And I really hope it continues to grow and take off, and we can eventually see more Trinis and more Caribbean athletes in the ISL in the future.
I honestly love it. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, all right, anything. To be honest, there's so much time and opportunity under the sun that, hey, we caught in this mentality that Olympics is it, right? Some people, for example, I would look at athletics and stuff, and you'd see real people break records after Olympics, like the same year, a couple months after, and it's like, how could you not have even made the Olympics team?
Yeah.
Right? And we put so much pressure on persons to make this team in the 4 years. As you mentioned just now, if something goes wrong, a minor hiccup, what then? Right? And it's really nice to sell, like to my swimmers, I could now sell them, there's opportunity, financial reward. Because I mean, if Olympics is not your thing, as in, okay, Olympics, then what? I can sell them as in, you could market yourself as a swimmer, you can make some money. I look at the FINA World Cup, there's nice prize money giving out there.
Yeah,
right? Yes. I am all game for it, right? It looks real. I mean, they bring out the skins race. They're innovative, right?
Yeah.
I wish you continued selection with it, man. I wish you continued selection.
Yeah. It's been good. It's been good fun. Like you said, I think that that was an important point you made there with people who try to make the Olympic teams or go to Olympics and underperform, and then you see 2 months later they come out, and it's like, it's because of all this pressure that athletes put on themselves and people put on athletes to perform at these games once every 4 years, and everybody's trained well and everybody's fit, but you know, sometimes you just work yourself up and make it bigger than it needs to be, and you realize 2-3 months later that you're there physically, but you know, once the pressure comes off, like it just starts clicking.
Yeah, I mean, you'd often see, I mean, especially at like age group levels, you'd see some of person's best swims are in like relays, right? And we don't learn from this that, hey, let's stop applying all this pressure. Let's always have fun, right? Okay, Olympics is once every 4 years, and we need to take it upon ourselves to change that culture mentally.
Yeah.
I can imagine you and all might feel it, huh? I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine this week about some of my relay splits at ISL, and my relay splits were really good, you know, and I was like, why are my relay splits so good, but my individual is not as good? And we were working on trying to make that connection, almost fool yourself in the call room for your individual event and trick yourself, tell yourself, this is just a relay. I have a team behind me, whatever. You know, just to get into that mindset, because it's a real thing at all levels of the sport, not just age group.
Yeah. And that's something I want to get into later in the interview, the transition from age group to Olympian status or elite status. And I think there are certain things we need to maintain, huh?
Yeah.
I think we often think, hey, you know what, the Olympics now, and all the things that worked for you coming up, you forget about it because you think it's Olympics, but
Yeah.
these are the things that worked for you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So talking about preparation and stuff and games, I know you have World Short Course coming up in December.
Yeah, World Short Course in December. I have another block of ISL meets before then, so I'll be out in Eindhoven, Netherlands, for the month of November. We'll do about 4 competitions there to finish out the regular season with my team, and then go directly over from Eindhoven to Abu Dhabi and represent there.
You have a packed end of year, so
Yeah.
I hope you are successful. I mean, many have tried, and I don't see why it is no way beyond you. I hope you are successful in transitioning your mind to find a way to bridge the gap between what you do in relays and what you're able to do. Because, I mean, it's nice that you can see, all right, this is where my swims, individual swims are, this is my relay. However, it's no different, Dylan, huh?
Yeah, it's nice. Exactly.
So, I mean, I hope you can find a way and maybe write a book on it because many have tried. And
Yeah,
you can have the code.
No,
Right?
there's no code, man. There's no code. I mean, you could find the way. You could find the way one day, and then tomorrow it could go. You know,
True.
it's all
True.
about that sweet spot, and that's the beauty of sport. And
Sport, yeah.
that's what swimming is lacking, and that's why I like the ISL is that the ISL gives you a lot of opportunities to try and put yourself out there, to improve week on, week off. It's a lot more like Premier League football, where Mo Salah goes on the field this week and he might not score, but he can identify what he did wrong and come back next week and try again, and he can improve, which is another aspect of it that I think is really valuable.
That was real. What you said there is profound because a coach and I were having a discussion, and I was telling him, I was like, hey, swimming. I mean, there are a few big meets, right? Of course, but we were discussing the ISL also. And I was like, there's nothing like race training, like race conditions, you understanding, all right, this is how your opponent's going to go out. How am I going to handle somebody going out in 10 low, 9 high in freestyle? Am I going to try to race with them? Am I going to swim my race? So it's really nice, the exposure, because many think that, hey, you know what, I don't want to have so many swim meets in my block. However, I mean, if your training is similar, you use it as a training meet, you swim through it, you find ways, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about improving, and once you have that mindset going into it, and you don't see this as the end, you see this as part of the process.
Agreed.
Then you can roll with the punches, because swimming is a sport where we race so infrequently. We put a lot of consequence and self-value into that number that we see on the board when we do race. And you see athletes almost avoid racing until they know that I'm really, really feeling good, because I can't face that number if I am not feeling good, and being able to face that number week in, week out, and just understand that whatever the number is, I'm going to work and build on it. And it's just information. And, I think that's part of something that we need to change in coaching and swimming and the mindset.
Yeah, I mean, fully. I mean, I try to link sports. So, for example, like athletics. I mean, Olympics was thrown off, the timing was thrown off. But I had the Diamond League right after the Olympics, right? Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is one of the older ones, if not the oldest represented in the 100-meter. She came and did the best time.
Yeah.
Right? After the Olympics. So, other sports show you that, all right, yes, you want to taper for certain events, but form is form, huh? You want to maintain that.
Form is form. You put in the work. You're lying to yourself if you think that because you did it last weekend, you can't do it this weekend. Or because you did X time last weekend, and then after you celebrated and you had a pizza, you can't do it again next weekend. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just practice, and the more you practice it, it becomes like so automatic, and there's no way to replicate that. Coming out to the end of the ISL season, I know my stroke count. I know when the wall is coming. I know how many kicks I'm going to take. I know when to expect every aspect of the race. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Right. So I want to, as I said, we'll be going backward in this interview. So I want to go back to just a little junior Dylan, and I'll bring two of your old peers, right? One of your current peers, all right, in Sherelle and Christian, right? We're going to discuss, I'm sure you know these two faces.
Yeah.
Hey, good night.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
good night.
Good evening. How are you all?
Good,
as
good.
well?
Thanks for having us.
Nice, man. Thanks for taking the opportunity and joining us here, man.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
I know in 2008, Dylan would have been your first Carifta, right?
Wasn't there? 2009 was my first Carifta.
Or 2009.
Yeah.
Well, 2009 would have been your first Carifta. And I know you, apparently that year, you gave them the warm-up to our last stroke of luck in winning Carifta in 2010. I think 2009 would have come second, right?
I think we won.
I think we won.
Yeah.
I think we won 9
2010 was our last successful year Carifta-wise, right? So I just want to touch on we always talk about development of swimming in Trinidad, right? How would you say, we can start with Dylan and go around, so Dylan, Sherelle, then Christian, right? How would you say Carifta groomed you into the person you are in swimming right now?
I think Carifta was really important because it gave me something to put my energy towards, something to look forward to. I don't know. It was always so much fun, and the group of kids that we had at that time got along really well, and I think that kept me coming to the pool. It kept me excited to go to try and make it to go on these teams, because it was just always such a good time. And the stories that we still talk about with my group of friends here, like from those Carifta and CCCA and CISC meets from that era, we still talk about that stuff. I think that that's why Carifta was so important for me, at least.
Yeah. Sherelle, how has Carifta played a part in the person you have become, the athletes you have become? How would you what would you say about Carifta in terms of it building you?
Yeah, from a young girl growing up, the first Carifta team that I made, we traveled to Barbados, and that's what was like the peak of my interest as a teenage athlete. And after making my first team, I just wanted to get back in the water and make another team and another one and another one. So similar to what Dylan said, it was like the excitement, the social aspect of it, meeting people from different parts of the region, and also the first experience with seeing the fruits of your hard work, that you're training like within your small island, but then being able to be on a stage where there are people from other countries was the first taste of international competition. It was so exciting.
Christian?
Yeah, I guess for their sentiments, obviously I had the same experience. I think Carifta for me was a decent springboard into the rest of my swimming career. Obviously, it would have been that taste of the regional competition, the age group regional competition. Very fond memories. Made lots of friends throughout the islands. I think my most fond memories would have been the national training sessions, though. For me, it was always fun to, be a group and train hard towards the common goal of going to Carifta and attempting to win. And those are memories that even up to today I have them clear as day in the back of my head. But in terms of my career and how Carifta played a part, definitely, just as Sherelle and Dylan mentioned, it gave you that meet as one of those calendar meets for the year that you really look forward to as a youngster, to go and show off what you've been doing for the rest of the year. Your training, get your training, see what your training has borne. So it was exciting. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's so funny and enlightening, right? That three of y'all, I think 2010 would have been your last Carifta, Christian and Sherelle.
Yeah.
Right? So over 10 years, and when I asked each of y'all, Dylan, Sherelle, Christian, all of y'all face lit up like Carifta boy. Like I was talking about your first pet or your first car. It was nice. And I think that's something that's lacking now. most times, a lot of times we can't even get 8 times in Carifta and Israel scraping up our team, right? So that was our, I think, best year performance-wise in Carifta, right? What do you think, we could go in the same order, attributed to our fall-off? Because, I mean, we had what it took to be the best at Carifta, and since then we have seen the fall-off, and it has shown as we got older as well, right? So we thought from there we'd have had, all right, I mean, Christian, you were Youth Olympic Games gold medalist, Dylan Sherrill representing at Olympics. But, I mean, from that crop of 2010 summers, I'm sure you might have thought, hey, we could possibly have a little more than 3 of you all making it to that level. What do you think has caused, you can start with you, Dylan, what do you think caused this?
I couldn't tell you. I'm not really involved in the coaching and what's going on. I could only speak from what I see in small glimpses when I'm at home now, and when I go to clubs, and I hop in the pool with them now and then. I think that, not to harp on the same thing, kind of go back to what I said earlier, but I think that the key to the success of my age group, like that era, was how well we all got along, and that took us to the pool and took us through every workout together. And I think that maybe it's too much of almost, you try to get a performance focus, and too much performance focus at a young age can kind of be counterintuitive for these kids, I think that if we could kind of maybe not squeeze so hard, hold on so hard to, we need to get back to these fast times, and just be like, let's let the kids just be kids and have fun. We might see some of the performances start to come back.
All right, just to put a pin in it there, right? So Dylan, I don't know if you'd have seen the program before, but I don't think you would be an avid follower if you have even seen it before, right? So,
I've seen clips. Yeah, just clips.
Right. So viewers, Dylan wasn't paid to say this, parents. Dylan wasn't paid. He wasn't prompted, right? Trying to squeeze the juice out of the lime when it's green, we really need to avoid that. Trinidad Olympian, I mean, decorated swimmer. Dylan is giving you advice. Even if you don't listen to the coaches, listen to Dylan. Thank you so much, Dylan. Sherrill. Hello?
Yeah,
Yes.
my contribution, similar to the one, we could only speculate. I also, I'm a part of a young club locally, but my time, most of the time I'm training on my own, and then competitions as of lately have been time trials. And yes, I do understand that we have definitely dropped in our regional performance, both Carifta and Sisikan level. And that was something that I ventured to explore, to understand. And I could only share what my personal experience is, but if we put all of our experiences together and share what we individually believed would have contributed to our success at that age, then we could look at the data and see where there is overlapping information and that's some of the things that came out of the survey that I would have done last year. The beginning of 2020. Things like funding and pressure from coaches, similar to what you were just saying about squeezing the juice out of the lime when it's green, and the lack of support in the whole athlete, like outside of like encouraging them to work hard in the pool, understanding that you're dealing with a human, you're working with human beings who have goals and aspirations even outside of the sport.
Not only human beings, but young kids.
Young kids, yeah. And sometimes it's almost like coaches want to work these young kids as horses really early, and there is not that opportunity, intentional opportunities for bringing in cohesiveness and teamwork and camaraderie to really cultivate working together towards a common goal, encouraging your teammates, and those type of character building values. So,
Nice. Well said. Christian?
So just to touch on the initial question you asked, why there would have been that drop off. So from 2010 to 2011, there was obviously a huge drop off, right? And if you look at the coaches report from 2010, Curfter, you would see a breakdown. The head coach, Mr. Saints, did an excellent job of detailing everything. You would see that from the 15 to 17 age group, out of the 90, I believe 95 around their total medals, 60 something of those came from the 15 to 17 age group. All right. And that's more than 2/3 of your entire medal count coming from one age group. And you have 3 age groups, 12 to 14 and 15 to 17. All right. However, that year 2010, the 15 to 17 that you had will last. A lot of them will last year 15 to 17. So most of us were 17. Well, finishing our 7th year of Curfter, so we wouldn't have been able to play too.
Yeah.
All right, and we had some serious heavy hitters that year, in that age group. So it was, looking back now and having that data, it should have been expected that there would have been a serious drop off in terms of your points that you would have been able to accumulate on your medal count and whatnot, because you lost some serious heavy hitter guys and women. All right. So that's one issue. Another thing that I distinctly remember was 2009 and 2010 is we had really good leadership on the team in terms of the captains and the older kids really taking responsibility for the younger ones and motivating the team. We always made sure we had the chance down. Everybody knew what they were about. We knew what the goal was. So again, losing the older kids in 2010 to just phasing out, not being able to attend the next one, would have the team would have lost that a little bit of leadership aspect to it. Now coming back to what's currently happening, so between the 4 swimmers here, ex-swimmers here. Yeah. Only you and I, Rocky, are coaches. So from a coaching perspective, I would say definitely I am aware of not squeezing the line too hard, making sure that the kids enjoy the session. So I always try to, have them involved with the session. So make sure that they understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, so that they're just not coming to the pool and moving like robots.
Yeah.
So they're actually in tune with what's going on, so they become excited. So I actually detail our entire, whether it's a microcycle or a macrocycle. They know what's coming up when, so they could plan accordingly. They could be mentally prepared.
Yeah.
I think that helps to have them kind of fresh, have them excited, have them involved with the process. So it's just not a big surprise, or they're not coming to people scared, or they engaged and ready to go. So I think that, and also what I do also is to try to foster them to have good camaraderie between themselves. I believe Dylan and Sherelle mentioned that before. Because I totally believe that that's one of the things that allowed us to have so much success in that era of Curfter. Just on a club level, I think we were way more close, like we were tighter, we used to race harder, we were more competitive between each other. We had very strong friendships, and even on the national team, everybody knew each other. We were really close. Even from different clubs, we would hang out with each other and stuff like that. So when we came to national training, it was, we all knew what we were about, why we sacrificing all the time in the pool, why we grinding so hard. I don't know if we still have that level of competitiveness between the kids and that level of cohesiveness between the clubs anymore.
Well, Christian, you took my little analysis and you dealt with it, but I'll still touch on it about camaraderie. And even before our portion here, Dylan and I were speaking, and he spoke about that, his teammates, they drive each other, right? And yes, at the end of the day, swimming is an individual sport. However, kudos, like Sherelle, kudos to you. You more or less do it on your own, you and your coach, right? Not many people build that way, right? That is difficult, regardless of how all right, yes, you know your goals. I mean, yes, you have everything written down. You have it in your mind. You know where you're supposed to be when. But that's the easy part. When you go out there and it's you alone and you don't have that camaraderie, is a horse of a different color. I mean, as Christian would have mentioned, I remember a long time after long course, if you pass by Roxy, it's only swimmers. Everybody lineman, and it's a good time after the swim meet. I always remember this song, Hit 'Em Up Style from Blue Cantrell. They playing that song and everybody dancing, who diving in the pool, it was a good time, right? But now is that everybody crabs in a barrel, trying to reach up and not realizing that, hey, you know what? Is unison. All of us are holding on to each other's hands, and if we move together, right, we push each other. When it has a one breakaway in an age group, it's very difficult. So, Christian, if you were the only fast backstroker, I mean, yes, you were a cut above the rest. But if you had nobody to push you, it would have been a little more difficult for you to stay on that horse and stay guided now.
Yeah, definitely. I totally attribute a lot of my success to Ryan Riggs, Cardell Lyons, Blondell, even like Walter Romani, even a lot of kids from other age groups, you know, that used to push. We used to grind real hard in training and then even in meets. Like another issue is that we don't have the depth that we had before either. Now we go to meets and you're struggling to make enough heats to make finals. So sometimes a lot of events going straight to finals. Back in our day, there's like 4, 5, 6 heats of even like your 400 IM and your 4-free and stuff. You had to wait in a hole in May for like half an hour for your race. Now kids went straight through the final.
And when that happens, you don't have any experience with swimming heats and finals. Right? For example, like a Safa Powell, that was his sub 10 king. But put him through our rungs now, right? His top end speed is good, but put him through our rungs, he's a different as Safa Powell.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this section,
I would like to just before you close off, what I'm hearing that's a missing gap is the idea of legacy and leadership development, so that what is the reason why it can't be right now. It's not that there's no lack for talent, there's no lack for coaching or even facilities, but the culture that was is no longer, and the way that is perpetuated. Well,
sorry, we're not here now. Oh,
am I back?
I'm hearing you, but I'm not seeing you.
One of the things that I recall being a big contributor to like me being inspired was hearing stories from days of old, from the swimmers who came before me, what they did, what they accomplished, how they accomplished it, how hard they worked. And those are the things I remember being like really inspired by and wanting to do the same. So being able to have somebody that will share those stories, and even people who will also be intentional about calling out leadership qualities in younger swimmers, I think will really be helpful in perpetuating the culture.
Great. Y'all define Sherelle really look like Chantel there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a face-up listeners. Thank you, Sherelle. Right, if you can still hear us, thank you so much.
Good night.
And I'd like to welcome Chantal. So now is swimmers, and we have one more coach. Chantal? All right, so you can go ahead. Hey Chantal, good night. How are you?
Hi Chantal.
Hey, doing? Christian, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Yeah.
You're looking good.
Thanks. You too, man. Like the beard, man.
Thanks. Yeah, it needs a shave.
Yeah, so Chantal, I don't know if you were here from the start of our interview. I started with Dylan, where he is now on his last couple of months and moving forward. And we just regressed a bit, just in terms of his life and where we think foundation comes from and the role it plays, right? Because, I mean, we always speak about duplication, right? Christian Homer, Chantal McLean, Dylan Carter, all very talented. However, you can't tell me that we have never had somebody else even as close in talent to y'all, right? That we could have possibly made something right? Even if we couldn't say, all right, you go Youth Olympic Games, you get gold, we look for bronze, we look for finalists, and we haven't been seeing these things, right? So I want to start with, I mean, we have discussed it, not to be redundant, but I think the message needs to get across. So, like Dylan, right? For example, I know when I think you'd have left after CXC in about 2012, right?
Yeah, August 2012.
Right. So I was talking to one of your old coaches, and like he was just enlightening me on certain things. So like, I know you were doing things like 156 and 200 free in training, right?
Was I?
Well, here's the words of him, right?
Jeez.
So as a 16-year-old, right? He said like these are times 56.
Maybe once every 3 months I would do something.
That's the problem, isn't it, sir? Right? But 56 and 100 back, right? 51 and 100 free, right? So clearly, I mean, even being down here, you were Dylan, right? You didn't go out there and turn into Dylan. You were Dylan.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right? So what do you think really encouraged you to go out there instead of staying here and seeing what it held?
Like you said, I spent 1 year in the US before I went to college, so I think 95% of my development as an athlete was here. When you go from age 16 to age 17, you grow taller, you mature, and obviously you get a lot faster. I wanted to get out just because I thought that it would be easier for me to get into college. And I saw the US collegiate system as a way, like I loved swimming and I didn't want to be done swimming when I turned 17, 18. And I pretty much identified from around age 16, 15, I was like, the only way that I'm going to be able to keep doing this thing that I like to do is in the US collegiate system. So I begged my mom to let me leave, and after much begging her and arguing, they sent me out, and I managed to get recruited out there because they swim short course yards out there. I'd never swam a short course yards meet in my life. It's just easier for the coaches out there to look for. There's so much talent in the US. It's easier for them to look at their junior nationals and say, okay, we want to recruit this kid who got second, or this kid who got fifth, or this kid who won junior nationals, rather than wasting their time digging through some invitational results from December in Trinidad. You know, they're not going to do that. So unless you reach out to them and really fight for yourself as an athlete down here, I think it would be way harder to get into the system out there. So that was the main driver for me to want to get out, was to just be exposed to more coaches so that I can continue to win.
All right. For persons who would have just tuned in, I want to welcome you all. It's Coaches Connection, where we have Christian Homer, Chantal McLean, former swimmers, current coaches, myself, and Dylan, current Olympian, current ISLer, he's at elite level and he's doing Trinidad proud. Right, Christian and Chantal, feel free to chime in. There's the three of us hosting this program, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, Dylan, you took me from a interesting perspective where you don't often hear persons talk about, hey, I'm in their face, basically. Right? I don't have to now go and fight to show them my times and that I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Right? If we had a system in place, it's hard to look back and see what you'd have done exactly. If we had that system in place where all right, we had a direct connect and your times would be seen out there, would you have given Trinidad a chance to stay home and see if the training would have worked for you?
Yeah, I was improving year on year. My age group coach, Franz Hugginson, and we got on absolutely great. We fought as coaches and swimmers do, but we still have a great relationship. I think, like, I came back and I swam with him heading into the 2016 Olympics. I think he helped me out a lot then. I think he's a great coach. I could have easily seen myself staying. But I don't regret leaving, obviously. Well, the system wasn't in place for me to get recruited down here. And I think that I was fortunate that my path seemed to have worked out all right. But I think that if I could have set my foot in, I think one thing, though, that I will say is that when you get to that age in Trinidad of, 16, 17, your friends start dropping out the sport rapidly. You know
Big
what I mean?
problem.
And that, like I said earlier, was what kept me always there, was those relationships at the pool. Because I think many of my coaches and teammates can tell you that I wasn't the best, you know, trainer. I wasn't the hardest, you know, worker in the pool, but I was always there. I was always on time. And that was because I always wanted to be there. You know, it was like the thing that I looked forward to after school the most was to go to training and see everybody. So I think that is part of it is, you know, when you see so many athletes start to drop out, so many friends start to drop out and say, well, I'm from Six Star, it gets harder and harder to take yourself to the pool every day.
Real words, Dylan. I mean, we often think is the person who trains the hardest, the person who is the most talented. You see what you did there? You stuck to it. You stuck to it.
That's true. That's it. You're spot on. You know, it's there are many athletes, you know, that have come out of here that are equally as talented, if not more talented than I am. But yeah, it's just, you know, sport is gonna have tough times. You're gonna go to an Olympics and you're gonna underperform, but you know, or you're gonna go to a crifter and you're not gonna hit your goals, or you know, you're gonna hit snags, and it's that how you deal with those things that really separates you know, the ones that go on to the top level and the ones that don't. And that's the main thing.
I have enjoyed this whole interview, don't get me wrong, but you see this last minute and a half, 2 minutes, I'm going to screen grab it and send it to my swimmers to show them, hey, you know what? Because I'm a big stressor on that. Parents could come and they could see, if you haven't watched training all week and you come today, you might think, oh wait, this isn't making sense because it looks like a fun day. However, I want to keep my charges motivated to come to the pool. When they reach up that age to say, all right, let's look to specialize, let's look to fine tune into certain things, because all the activities, we're not going to be playing with rings in the pool. We're going to be all geared towards something. But I want them to want to come.
Yeah, but man, isn't that what this is all about? Like a race that lasts 21 seconds, you know, for all the days and hours that you spend. When you think about that, you realize that swimming is not about the race that lasts 21 seconds. It's about what you do every day and the person that it makes you, you know, the person that you become through those things that you practice day in, day out, and those challenges that you face week in, week out, and season in, season out, and the person that you become from putting yourself through those trials, rather than somebody who swam 21.0 or somebody who swam 20 or won an Olympic medal or who didn't, you know?
Kristen and Chantel, you all could go ahead. I got my money's worth here. You all could go.
I was not going to ask in terms in comparison, like you did a year of high school swimming, racing across there compared to racing in Trinidad. How would you say what would you say is the difference in the atmosphere?
I actually didn't do high school. I was ineligible, but I raced, you know, club, junior nationals, US junior nationals, all that stuff. I would say, what is the main difference at an age group level? I would say it's a lot more, I don't know, a lot more serious maybe. Who knows? I couldn't really tell you.
I think for me, like I spent 8 months with both, and in that 8 months, I saw the difference. The difference is that they race way more often. They have dual meets almost every week, if not every other week, and that race practice is invaluable. So whereas we have to wait until a long course or a curve or a CCCAN, so that's like 3, maybe 4 big meets a year. These kids racing hard every other week. So they get in that experience, they get in that race practice. Like Dylan said, like that with the ISL, he knows his stroke counts down pat, he knows how many kicks. These kids know how many kicks and strokes because they're training towards racing every 2 weeks. How do we compare with that down here? When we only racing 4 times, maybe 4 times at a high level every year.
And the difference too would be that, I mean, they split up. You have the 10 and unders or 12 and unders swimming at a different organized meets as compared to how we have the 13 and overs competing, and you would race them a little bit more because they're getting into that type of environment, that type of atmosphere, and starting to be groomed to get on that level. As with regards to the 10 and unders, and they having a little bit more fun in it. It's not as serious as competitive for those guys, and I think they get to enjoy it a bit more than how we have it here. We really push them too young, really do. I mean, for me, I only started competitive at 12, so at all that time I was doing non-competitive, and we were doing like 25 meters, and sometimes you'll have kickboard race or novelty races. Sometimes you even used to see the coaches race. That used to be something else. Because like you seeing, okay, you telling me to do these things. Now let me see how you're gonna go when it is the coaches race. So it had a bit more fun in it, and it was you're still looking at these kids developing. You have to. A key factor is keep it fun for these kids.
Yeah. Just to springboard off of what you said there, Chantal, I only started swimming at age 12 as well. And I think I truly believe that if I had started at 8 or 7, like a lot of my peers did, I don't know if I would have got on or still have the love and desire that I do now. Maybe I would have, but I think that 12 was a good age for me to start getting in and really start taking it seriously around 14 or 15. It's too serious at too young an age. You can't.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point to raise there, Dylan. So I think I am on the other side of the spectrum. So exactly what you said, possibly in retrospect, maybe had a part to play in why I ended my career early. Not fully, there are other reasons. As we mentioned it in depth on other previous episodes. However, I started swimming seriously when I was 8 years old. So, and at a serious level, pushing hard and training hard. Coaching back then, as you all know, was different how it was now with certain coaching. So the stresses of going through all of that, and I don't know, maybe there was a little bit of burnout towards the end, because after college I was done. I knew I wasn't gonna go past my 4th year at UF at all. I was done with swimming. Not that I was necessarily annoyed with it or fed up of it, or just probably just getting tired of it. Tired of the grind, along with other factors, obviously. So definitely Dylan and Chantal, to your points of maybe starting to get more serious later on. Yeah, I definitely agree that there could be merit there for sure.
Yeah, what if you took those 4 serious years from 8 to 12 and you put them from 22 to 26?
Exactly.
They're better years to be doing serious swimming.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the environment, and I guess the culture that's.
Yeah, that's how it was back then, But in some clubs or
now, I don't know if it is like the same now. It would kind of be, I kind of say it's switched, because now we have younger coaches and they're a bit more, they've experienced they've gotten that exposure out there. We've gotten that exposure out there, and also, how much has changed with regards to the kids that we're dealing with and the generation that we're dealing with currently too. I say, for me, I'm like, coaches need to do psychology or something to deal with the kids we have here currently, because
mental health is lacking.
It's like you're pulling them to get them interested, or keep them, peak their minds peaked and involved in it. It's really it's a bit difficult. So it's like we have to be a bit more creative, a bit more innovative as coaches, and so also just we have to be more, I would say, knowledgeable and more communicative towards the kids, and know that listen, it's a relationship, it's a partnership kind of thing. It's not just I tell you what to do, you do what I say. In that sense. And that kind of, when it is I went across into the States, and like I used to tell people, like when I went to Coruscant before I went to college, And when the coach asked me how I feel, I was like, "You want to know how I feel? That matters."
Yeah.
So
Like,
it's
up
different.
to this week, I mean, Tuesday, because we got the opportunity for some of our persons to get back into the water, right? And I asked my charges, I said, what do you all like to do for fun? Right? And at the end of the day, so you all were talking about the age of burnout, right? So instead of those 4 years of grinding hard, Christian, where you possibly grew a resentment, I mean, you can't necessarily pinpoint what session you grew the resentment, but continuously getting up at 5 o'clock. I don't know if I know you were doing morning sessions from early,
Yeah.
right? So those sessions would have caused, just like calcium would build up on a pipe and it doesn't just come one time, over time it plugs, right? Instead of that, you had some fun training. So instead of always, hey, you know what? If racing is fun, that's fun, huh? But
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't do as much racing as possibly you could have. It was more centered around, hey, you know what? I am the coach. Christian needs to get in this mileage. And coaches have this mindset where if it didn't get you 6,000 meters, all right, I feel it, right? However, everybody leaves dejected because they weren't successful in the workout. They had no fun doing it. And you are there like a coach frustrated as well.
Yeah.
So it has a lot to do with, I mean, Dylan mentioned it, and Dylan is with elite. Dylan is elite. And he spoke about his peers. He didn't speak about trying to beat everybody in the world. He spoke about the impact his peers has on him. So Dylan knows what he is. Dylan is professional in his sport. And we expect our swimmers now to not want to be reliant on their peers and be a group. We're going about it wrong, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, let's start to what Chantal said. I think definitely having that relationship with your kids is super important as a coach. I mean, that's something that I always say that I take great pride in and I enjoy the most about going to the pool every day. Having that interaction with each and every one of my swimmers. Because I mean, I need to know how you feel or how you are going in order to at least set my expectations of what I looking for from you today. You know, so I have to have a conversation with you. I have to be conversing with you and have to know what's going on in your mind. So I think that's super powerful and it's something that definitely I think all of us as coaches should continue to adopt and use and utilize. I agree that for sure. I don't know. It would be very interesting to go back in time and have an alternate universe where I maybe had fun, more fun for the first 4 years of my swim career. But it is what it is. I do think, however, that in some strange way, those 4 years would have helped in a way, in a different way, obviously. Maybe obviously just getting a bigger base under me for an earlier period of my career, although obviously the end of my career would have suffered, or the extension of my career was non-existent at the end. So it's give and take, I guess. I do agree, however, that right now the focus needs to be on getting the younger ones more active, getting them more involved with the technical aspects of the sport, but on a fun side, something that they could relate to. And something that will keep them engaged, and then further on, later on in their swim career, then they start to, get more in depth and kind of fine tune that fun and change that fun and keep the fun aspect, but start to get a little bit more serious towards it.
I mean, I think the best teacher is experience, and if you hear any teachers here with experience in this sport, not who have watched YouTube clips or read books, I mean, they are coming to you with the facts that, all right, me in this position, this is how I feel, this is how I felt, this is what I think would have made a difference. Who are you now to say, boy, you know what, I'm going to try differently? I mean, yes, not every method works the same for everybody, but let's try to find a balance between the two, right? So, I mean, I know...
True. Could I just say, there's so many things in sport and in swimming that are just done because they've always been done that way. Like we were just discussing, or you just mentioned, from what age were you doing 5 a.m. workouts, Christian? I don't know. But
from 8.
Yeah.
From 8 years old.
And that's just because that's how it has always been done.
Yeah.
And like, you mean to tell me, I mean, maybe it is, maybe we need it, but is it such a risk to say, like, maybe at 8, between age 8 and 14, sleep is damn important, and waking kids up at 4:30, you know, I don't know, some kids commute from all over, like, they gallivant all over the place at night, they do homework, going to bed at 10, and then waking up at 4, like, I don't know, I don't think that is necessary. No, I mean, I don't know. I think that a lot of those structures in sport and in swimming are so old-fashioned and need to be challenged at a local level.
Yeah.
Yes. Would you have been more excited? Would you have given a better effort just doing one session? All those things you have to look at now, because
Absolutely,
I mean,
as a professional now,
Yeah.
I can't do 2 sessions. I can't. Like, if I go to a session and I swim a full workout and I'm there, I'm present, and I'm giving my 100% at this workout and doing everything as best as I possibly can, there's no way I have energy to or need to come back and do it again in
Agreed.
4 to 6 hours.
Agreed. And I think that is something. You see, we try to get on that mileage and do sessions because we think these extra sessions will give me that extra advantage. Suppose these extra sessions are what are hindering you. Right? It's growing that distance between you and the sport. It's leaving you tired because, as Dylan said, if you train a 2-hour session properly, why do you need 2 of them in a space of 24 hours? Right? Especially at some clubs doing it 4 mornings a week. If I am getting up and going training 4 mornings a week and I have evening sessions, and that's what I mean, I never got to the level you all got to. But that burnt me out because I had morning sessions, I think 3 or 4 mornings a week. Then evenings, 4 evenings. Then twice on a Sunday. But I'm a baptized Adventist. So my only free time was Sunday. And I have 2 training sessions. As soon as I got the chance to run for the hills, I ran for the hills. Right?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Are we doing it because we want to say we did it for the children, or are we doing it because it is best for the children? I think that's the question we need to really answer.
And the thing is, now we have technology on our side. We are in a technological era, and we can not guesstimate, we can get aid in what it is we are doing, how it is we are working the kids, how much recovery they get in, and nutrition. And next thing I was going to ask though, Dylan, mentally, how important is that mental aspect with regards to
It's massive.
Racing?
It's massive. It's massive. It's, you know, and the biggest thing is just for kids to be happy and having fun, you know, and it's not only kids. I mean, all the way up to the top level, I can see, you know, there've been points in my career where I'm sacrificing so much. I sacrifice my weekends where I would usually go out and do something social, or a meal where I just really want to have a pizza, but I don't have that pizza. I have something else. And sometimes when I go to that extreme too much and I take away too much of the happiness out of my life, even though I'm doing everything correctly, my performances aren't there because I'm unhappy. You know, I'm not enjoying myself. I'm not having fun with it. And I think that's, I mean, we're kind of harping on the same thing here, but I think it's you know, undervalued. Just letting kids be happy and enjoy themselves and not be so tired, not be dragging themselves into the pool because they woke up at 4. Just let them be there with, you know, bright eyes and excited to get there and to get in and to see their bodies and, you know, get going. That all that is part of the mental game, and to know, you know, when it's time to take a day off or a week off or a month off away from the sport. As coaches, you know, that is an invaluable skill to be able to identify that in kids, you know, to be able to see, okay, look, this person is dragging today. Maybe they need a day off, or maybe we need to have a discussion on why they're struggling rather than to just tell them to go harder or to push more, you know, because sometimes you need the kick in the butt and you're being lazy, but other times it's not that. Other times you're tired, other times things are going on, you know, so.
And that when ask the kids, what's going on, because you have to know your charges, when it is the body language when they come in and you see
Folks, just give me 2
something.
seconds. I don't know why my battery is going to die.
Oh.
Coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. And you see them like something is wrong, you can sense, and you'll be like, okay, you had a hard set coming in for them. Today was going to be that type of an anaerobic set or something like that for them, and you're like, I don't think you respond well to this. You go and you do something different for today, and you come and approach it on another day,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are many times when, I would have to alter sets very often, based on exactly what we're speaking about, how the kids respond. You have to be aware, as a coach, you have to be very aware of how your kids respond to your sets. I mean, you may come in with a certain expectation, and, you would end up, sometimes I have to write a totally different set, or in the middle of the set, we end up doing something totally different at the end, because I just see that the kids, they're struggling to make a base or send off a certain stroke or something. And, you have to be able to adapt as a coach and realize that, and know, yes, as Dylan say, they want to slacken, but you also have to know if, your kid is struggling, genuinely struggling. And, you maybe change your base, maybe change your stroke, or just change your set in general. And you have to have the skills to be able to do that on the fly,
So much more to it than just being able to tell somebody to put their arm here and to kick their foot like this.
Yeah, correct. Very correct. That's, I think that also helps the swimmer-coach relationship as well, It kind of makes sure that the swimmer knows that, my coaches has an investment in me, is looking at me, knows that, they care for me, and they take any time to, maybe alter the set, or if you see them struggling, you give them that advice of how to maybe come up on something that they're doing incorrectly or whatnot. So I think definitely we as coaches have a huge part to play in terms of making sure that we are taking care of our kids to the best of our ability, to ensure that they are being as successful as we all want them to be.
Yeah, and a consistent point I've noted. I mean, for example, analogy just came to me. I know last time people laugh at my analogy when I can't remember what it was. But as Dylan spoke about all right, I didn't eat the pizza because that was the best thing to do. However, I suffered still, but not from the pizza, but from me depriving myself of that pizza, right? And it's just like backstroke spin drill. You wouldn't see anybody go Olympics and do that. Although your hands are moving the fastest in that. And as a coach, you will say, all right, get that turnover fast. However, you realize there's no benefit sometimes in trying to go too fast or trying to do too much. And I think we need to realize in life that the balance is important.
Balance.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not all about speed. It's not all about the sessions. It's about knowing your athlete. You might have some athletes, for example, Christian, you used to thrive off the plenty sessions. You are a hard worker. That pushed you. However, maybe your coach needs to say, all right, Christian, you're 9 years old, right? Next 3 years, I don't care how fast you are, it's not going to make a big difference in your career. You have a life ahead of you. Let's pull it back a little bit. So, I mean, I know I took over our Dylan's time, and I know he possibly has things to do. So this is me wrapping up, right? And y'all can, I don't know if you have any other questions, but I just think we really need to look at efficiency of our craft and efficiency of relationships and how our kids feel, etc. Right? So I don't know if Chantal and Christian or Dylan have anything else.
No, it was a real pleasure. It was a real pleasure to be on. I had a great time. It was great to see all of y'all as well.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Hopefully I could see you all in person on deck sometime soon.
Yeah.
God willing,
For sure.
We need to do more forums and of these because
it was great. It was great to
forward.
to have put all our heads together and to just talk. I had a great time, so we should do this.
Valuable info, man. Valuable. All right, thanks so much, folks. Thanks so much.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Take care.
Right. I'm not sure if Jason will be coming back on to close off.
If you want me to come back on to close off, I'll come back.
All right, so I mean, the end of another season. So I held it down in Coaches Connection under Jason's guidance. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, he has been the captain of the ship, right? Setting up the programs. I mean, you might only see a 1.5 program, sometimes more, but the time I know he puts in behind it, I hope persons appreciate it, and I hope that the content is received as it was intended, because, I mean, we don't pay anybody to come on here, and we don't ask anybody to
What?
put their opinion, right? Yeah. We don't ask anybody to alter their opinion. We don't ask them to say, we don't proof them, right? They come on. If you hear everybody saying the same thing, maybe there's a little merit in it. Let's try to stop thinking how we have been trained to think and start thinking about why we think this way and what could be done differently. All right, so thank you all for being here, being a part of the show. I mean, for all the persons who contributed, presenters, co-hosts, everybody. All right, and hope to see you all soon, but not too soon.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated, but there'll be stuff coming out of this page, even if it's not Chlorine Carlo.
All right, take care, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.